Hello, my dear friends. This is Adrian. Have you ever wondered why brilliant people sometimes make decisions that seem completely irrational? Consider this. Studies show that over 60% of even the most intelligent individuals fall prey to cognitive biases every day. Today, I invite you to dive deep with me, not only to improve your English, but also to uncover profound secrets about intelligence and decision-making that might just transform your entire perspective. Imagine for a moment that you're standing at the edge of a vast, restless ocean of ideas. Each wave carries with it insights and challenges that can reshape how you see yourself and the world. Just as the ocean is both beautiful and unpredictable, so too is the mind of a smart person, capable of extraordinary insights, yet sometimes misled by hidden traps. Let me begin by sharing something that shocked me most. The smarter you are, the more likely you might be to fall into specific mental traps. This isn't a paradox, but rather a truth hidden in plain sight. Overconfidence, for example, can lead you to trust your gut without questioning it, even when that gut is steering you wrong. Now, take a moment to picture this. Imagine being in a high-stakes boardroom at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, staring at two equally promising business proposals, both glowing with potential. In that silence, you feel the weight of every decision pressing on you. And yet, in that exact moment, you realize that even your sharpest mind might succumb to overconfidence or the lure of quick fixes. I remember one such night vividly. I was alone in my office, the clock ticking relentlessly past midnight. The lights were dim, and the city outside was quiet. I had two proposals in front of me, each offering incredible opportunities but with hidden risks. My heart raced, and my mind began to race even faster, comparing, analyzing, and sometimes even second-guessing every choice. It was in that solitude that I learned an invaluable lesson. Intelligence is not just about accumulating knowledge, but about recognizing the subtle ways our minds can deceive us. Now let's pause here for a language corner, a brief interlude where we enhance our English vocabulary naturally. Recently, I experienced a true watershed moment in my boardroom. Let me share what happened. Just last week, while reviewing a complex project proposal, our team reached a turning point, a watershed moment, as we say. A watershed moment is a critical turning point that changes everything, much like the moment when a river overflows its banks and reshapes the landscape. In simple terms, it's that moment when everything shifts, and a decision or insight alters the course of events. So next time you hear the term watershed moment, remember it signifies a dramatic, irreversible change, just like the decision I made that night in my office. As we journey together, I want you to think about how these mental traps might be affecting your daily life, be it in your professional decisions, personal choices, or even in the way you learn new things like English. Think about the times you've hesitated to ask for help or overthought a simple decision. Picture yourself in that boardroom, feeling the tension and the excitement of making a choice that could change everything. Here's another profound secret. Intelligence isn't measured by the absence of mistakes, but by the capacity to learn from them. Let me share a personal story that changed my life. It was 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, yes, the same late hour I mentioned earlier, in a quiet, almost empty office. I was staring at two equally promising business proposals, each representing a different direction for my company. I felt torn, overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of the decision. In that moment, I realized that being smart doesn't mean never erring. It means having the courage to make a decision, face the outcome, and learn from every misstep. That night, I took a deep breath, chose a path, and later, through reflection and feedback, discovered that my mistake was actually a stepping stone toward greater success. As we move further into our discussion, I want to integrate another practical element, action steps that you can take today. Start by setting aside just 5 minutes each day for reflection. At the end of your workday, write down one decision you made and analyze what went well and what could have been done differently. Over time, this daily practice can transform how you approach every choice, from the mundane to the monumental. Now, let me transition to another segment that I call the emotional peak. Picture yourself during a moment of profound clarity, a moment when, after a long struggle, everything suddenly makes sense. For me, that moment came when I realized that my intelligence was not a shield against failure, but a bridge to greater understanding. It was as if, after years of battling inner conflicts, I finally saw that every error was an invitation to explore a new path. And here's what I want you to take away. Every time you face a setback, remember that it's not the end, but merely a bend in the road. Embrace it, learn from it, and let it propel you forward. Let me ask you now, picture yourself in that scenario. Visualize a time when a mistake taught you a lesson that no amount of success could have. Feel that emotion, that surge of clarity, and let it remind you that every experience, good or bad, is a vital part of your journey. Before we continue, let's pause for an interactive moment. I'd like you to take a deep breath and think about this question. What is one decision you made recently that didn't go as planned? Reflect on it briefly. Imagine revisiting that moment with a new perspective. What would you do differently now, knowing what you know? Allow that thought to simmer as we move forward together. Now, as we delve deeper, I want to discuss another powerful concept: the dynamic nature of intelligence. Intelligence is not a static trait. It evolves with every new experience, every mistake, every success, and every failure. Consider it like a garden. Each decision, every new word you learn, every conversation you have, is a seed planted in that garden. Some seeds will bloom into beautiful flowers, while others might require careful nurturing before they show their true potential. By tending to your garden with care, by reflecting on your experiences, learning from your missteps, and constantly seeking new knowledge, you create a landscape that is vibrant, dynamic, and uniquely yours. Here's a practical exercise. Tonight, before you sleep, list 3 things you learned from a mistake or challenge you faced today. Write them down in a journal and reflect on how each lesson can guide you tomorrow. Over time, this practice will build a reservoir of wisdom that you can draw upon in every aspect of your life. I also want to share a moment from my own life that underscores this dynamic interplay between knowledge, emotion, and action. It was during a high-pressure pitch meeting in New York City, around 2 a.m., when the city lights blurred into a sea of twinkling possibilities. I was presenting a proposal that I had poured my heart and soul into. But as I spoke, I noticed subtle signs that not everyone was convinced. The turning point came when I paused, took a deep breath, and invited questions from the room. That pause, that moment of vulnerability, opened up a dialogue that not only clarified our approach, but also strengthened our collective resolve. It was then that I truly understood the power of engagement, both with oneself and with others. Let me share another language corner moment. When I speak about analysis paralysis, what I mean is that sometimes overthinking can freeze our ability to act. Picture a situation where you're so caught up in weighing every possibility that you can't move forward. That's analysis paralysis in action. In simpler words, it's when too much thinking stops you from taking any action at all. Recognizing this can help you balance reflection with decisiveness, ensuring that you continue moving forward despite uncertainties. Now, I want to build anticipation for another wow moment, a revelation that many of us might never realize about our own intelligence. Here's what shocked me most. Sometimes, the very characteristics that make us smart can also make us our own worst enemies. For example, our ability to see patterns and connections can sometimes lead us to overgeneralize or jump to conclusions without enough evidence. Imagine having a mind that is so sharp that it almost sees everything, but then missing the finer details because you're focused on the big picture. It's a delicate balance, and mastering it is key to true wisdom. Let's bring this back to everyday life. Think about a time when you noticed yourself overreacting or making a snap decision based on incomplete information. How often have you seen the warning signs of overconfidence or bias? By identifying these moments, you can start to build habits that counteract these traps. Here's a practical tip. Before making an important decision, pause for 30 seconds and ask yourself, am I overlooking something because I'm too sure of myself? This small habit can lead to big changes over time. As we reach what I consider the deepest part of our conversation, I want you to imagine a moment of ultimate clarity, a moment when all the pieces come together. This is the part I call the ultimate depth. At this stage, you realize that intelligence is not a fixed destination, but a continuous journey. Every experience, every mistake, every success adds a new layer to your understanding. And here's the final takeaway. True wisdom comes from embracing the full spectrum of our human experience, learning not only from our successes, but also from our failures, and understanding that every misstep is a stepping stone to greater insight. Now let's integrate another interactive element. I'd like you to take a moment now and think about your personal journey. Picture a time when you learned something valuable from a mistake. How did that lesson change the way you approached similar situations afterward? Reflect on that experience and consider sharing it with someone close to you. It might just inspire them to look at their own challenges in a new light. Before we conclude, I want to offer some concrete, practical steps you can implement starting today. 1. Daily reflection. Every evening, spend 5 minutes journaling about one decision you made, what went well, what didn't, and what you learned from it. Over time, this will create a treasure trove of personal insights. 2. Weekly challenge. Set a small goal each week to step out of your comfort zone, whether it's speaking up in a meeting, trying a new approach at work, or engaging in a challenging conversation. Let this challenge be your way of practicing the art of decision-making. 3. Mindfulness. Practice. Incorporate short mindfulness exercises into your routine. Even a 2-minute pause to breathe deeply and center your thoughts can help prevent analysis paralysis and keep you grounded. 4. Interactive dialogue. Engage with a friend or colleague regularly about your decisions and reflections. Sharing your experiences not only reinforces your learning, but also opens you up to new perspectives. 5. Language enrichment. Choose one advanced term each week, like heuristic or analysis paralysis, and incorporate it into your conversations. Not only will this boost your English vocabulary, but it will also deepen your understanding of the concepts we're discussing. Let me leave you with one final thought. The journey to wisdom is ongoing. There will always be moments when you feel overwhelmed when decisions seem impossible, and when the weight of your own intelligence feels like a burden. But remember, every experience is an opportunity to learn, every mistake a chance to grow, and every moment of reflection a stepping stone toward a more enlightened version of yourself. My dear friends, thank you for joining me today on this journey of discovery. I hope that by the time you finish reflecting on our conversation, you feel not only more enriched in your English vocabulary, but also more empowered to face your own challenges with clarity and confidence. Embrace every moment, take your risks, learn from your failures, and most importantly, keep moving forward. Until we meet again, keep questioning, keep learning, and always remember that your journey is unique and filled with endless possibilities. Goodbye for now, and may your path be ever illuminated with wisdom and courage. Stay curious, stay brave, and keep nurturing the beautiful, complex garden of your mind.